My name is Scott Costa. I'm the publisher of TED Magazine. I'm going to kind of moderate stuff and go through the rules here in a moment. But first I want to be able to introduce the panel to you and let them introduce themselves. So on your right is Vanessa Arrington. She's with Bell Electric Supply. Vanessa, please tell us something about you.
Good morning. My name is Vanessa Arrington. I'm with Bell Electrical Supply about 8 years now. I'm Vice President of Operations, and I also oversee our IT department, which consists of myself. Thank you.
Great. On your left is David Wascom. David's been in distribution for 21 years, including being at Summit for the last 12. David, please introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm David Wascom. I'm the CIO at Summit Electric, and I manage the IT department, which is more than just me. Thank goodness. And actually just crossed the threshold in the last year or so that I now can say I've been in IT longer than I was in sales. So obviously came up through the sales channel and distribution.
And in the middle, Les Johnson. Les is with North Coast Electric.
Les Johnson, North Coast Electric, 18 years. I've been in the IT industry for about 30 years, 32 years. Senior Vice President, Chief Information Officer. We at North Coast, obviously, we cover the Northwest, and we've been a progressive in information technology company for quite some time. I think that being here today is an honor, and before we get started, I'd like to recognize the NAED and their staff for the efforts that they've put forth in studying information technology, in bringing the surveys from our contractor customers, as well as ourselves together to give us an idea of where we sit and how we can improve our business practices with regards to IT. As of last year, we've, as a committee, and Vanessa, David and I are all on the committee, have produced 12 documents outlining best practices from various technology topics. Dave, you want to tell us a little about it?
It's a strategic technology committee that is hosted by and sponsored by the NAED. As Les mentioned, we all sit on it, have for the last year or more. And it's an opportunity for us to focus on areas that are specific to distribution. I mean, obviously there's a lot of things about technology that are maybe not directly relevant to what we do for a living, but there are things that clearly are. And so it's an opportunity for organizations to kind of give back to the group and provide information around best practices and success stories. So I would suggest that if you have any interest at all, to take a look at naed.org/strategic technology. There's everything from videos on different topics, white papers, survey information, survey results. That continues to be developed. One thing to also keep your eyes open for, sometime in the second or third quarter of this year, we're looking at having our first technology boot camp. It's going to be a 2-day session to sit down and talk specifically about challenges and issues for electrical distribution. We'll have moderators and experts there available to answer questions and provide content for members that are at any level along the technology spectrum, whether you're new to technology or you've been doing it all your life. There should be some value there for everyone.
Good. Okay. So what I'm going to do is ask some questions that have actually come to the NAED technology panel and committee that other people other than you have submitted, so that they probably are questions that kind of blanket the industry. So we're going to go through some of those things. There's also, this doesn't work just me doing a lot of talking and them doing a lot of talking, so they're going to answer some questions that you're going to have follow-up questions to. So the last 15 minutes that we're here, somebody will be keeping time, is the opportunity for you in the room to ask your follow-up questions of these guys, just so you know. So it's audience participation, and we'd love to have you guys participate as we go. So really quick question, because we want to know who we're talking to. Who in the room right now is a chief technology officer? Show of hands. Who in the room right now has a chief technology officer at where they work? A few, 1, 2, 3, okay. And who here just kind of has a guy who does our technology for us? And that's okay, it's fine. I mean, you're going to learn something from this then, so there's nothing wrong with being in that arena. Okay, so we're going to dive right in then, just so we know who we're talking to now, okay? We're going to dive right. And the other thing is I can't stand still, just can't. So I'll be all over the room and back again, so you guys are aware. On this side, I'll be in the back. I'll be all over the place, just so you guys know. We're going to dive right in with some of these questions and stuff that we've talked about. Here's a big one. So for the people in this room, explain the importance of staying ahead of the curve when it comes to technology by answering this question, okay? If you do nothing in advance of technology, 2 years from now, what? Go ahead, Les.
In 2 years, we'll have a great downward pressure on gross margins. We'll find a pressure to liberalize our return policies. Obviously, we'll have to review how we charge for freight. Our loyalty of younger employees and attracting younger employees will be more difficult because the competition will offer them an area that gives them a future. And operating expenses, I expect, would rise as a percentage of sales. And bottom line is it'll be harder to make money if we don't invest in technology within the next 2 years.
Vanessa?
In 2 years, if you do nothing to advance technology, I think that it would hinder your ability to be competitive in the marketplace. As Les had said, you need to be able to attract younger candidates. You need to be able to bring in new customers. And if you have outdated technology, that can, put a damper on that.
Yeah, just more of the same. As you look at whether it's 2 years or even farther, the environment that our current and future employees expect to work in is different than the one we have today. They expect a much more consumerized work environment. They want it to feel more like they do when they're at home and they're on Facebook or, on shopping on Amazon, for instance. And so how you address those challenges in terms of the workspace is one big challenge that you have to be looking at. Another is from the business environment. Whether or not you feel that Amazon is a competitor today, clearly they feel they're a competitor, and they're designing their business systems and designing their environment to be able to compete against us. And so we have to prepare ourselves to do that, because if I look at them as an IT competitor, there is no way in hell I'm ever going to be able to match them on an IT, headcount basis. And so I've got to be able to leverage technology solutions that are available that I don't have to develop from scratch, and to be able to make those changes, to make those service offerings for my business. And to do so, as Les mentioned, I have to still be able to do so in a cost competitive way. I can't go back to my customers and tell them, look, I can offer you an Amazon-like web experience at the same time that I can offer you the traditional electrical distributor experience where you can pick up the phone and call an expert inside salesperson or have an expert outside salesperson calling on you to answer questions. And so it's a difficult walk for us to figure out how do we become an extremely good logistics execution company, an extremely good web presence company, an extremely good expert services company, and a fun and consumerized place to work all at the same time, because frankly those are kind of at odds with one another as you look at how do you meet those service needs. And so finding that balance is where technology can help, and frankly the technology is providing the challenge as well.
So following up to that, we talked a lot about, you all talked about recruiting and getting the next generation of people and why technology is important, and I'm a believer that Amazon put out there, hey, we're going to have drones, not because they want drones, but because they're thinking, we're going to get a bunch of forward-thinking young people who think, oh, it's so cool to work for a company that's thinking. So they're just recruiting people that way. Beyond the recruiting side of things, in terms of technology, what are you seeing from your customers, which you kind of touched on a little bit, that says we need to make sure that we stay ahead of the curve on them? In other words, are they pushing you toward technology, or are you dragging them toward technology? But if you do nothing, what happens? Go ahead.
Seeing a couple of general trends, I'd say, if you want to try to narrow it down. One is, obviously, we have a pretty wide array of technology adoption within our customer base. I still get the occasional call from the business that, customer X wants to start getting EDI invoices, which is great. That's a big move forward for a lot of customers. It turns out what they really want is to start getting their invoices via email instead of via postal mail, which, while it's an electronic data interchange, it's hardly EDI in that standard. Then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got customers that really want to be able to integrate their business systems to your business system so they can get a much more integrated purchasing, a much more partner-type experience with your business. And so I'd say the big challenge that we have from an IT standpoint as distributors is to be able to provide that range of offerings to our customers, so that when you have that more technically adept customer, you can provide and you have the flexibility to do a systems-to-systems integration, so that the connectivity between your business and their business is much more tight and much more seamless. But at the same time, for the customers that are less technically adept, you can still provide services, whether that's something you bring to them, which is a big differentiator in our case, or is just to be responsive to their questions and their desires, to be able to respond quickly and provide some legitimate value add from a technology standpoint.
Ditto. I'd also add that we find that our new technologies, whether it's in the web or any other kind of a technical collaboration tool, it becomes more and more important as not only our people become younger in our companies, but also our customers' employee staff is becoming younger as well. And so the adoption rate, as we see from our customers, is going to increase as those people rise in the ranks and start becoming people who make managerial decisions.
Vanessa?
Well, Bell is a little bit technology challenged, even though we're in the heart of Silicon Valley. We're a small company, so that poses its own challenges. Our customers tend to bring information to us, technology that they want to use, and then we try to implement it based on, is that a valuable customer? Do we need to service them? We do have technology that we have looked into and tried to implement as well, and then bring our customers into it. But for the most part, we just try to stay on the curve instead of falling behind it.
Okay, so I'll run down the panel. Yes or no question. If I stand still from where I am right now, 2 years from now, yes or no, my company will lose revenue?
Yes.
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 Okay, so the money question then for all of you guys becomes, how much money should I be spending on technology to make sure that I am up to date and I am competitive 2 years from now? So to the panel, is there a dollar figure? What's budgeted? What should you be spending on a regular basis?
Well, I can't spend as much as these two over here, but we do budget. It depends on the size of your company, honestly. It could be as little as $50,000 a year. It could be $500,000 a year. It all just depends on what you're looking at. Are you looking at hardware, software, server licenses, which always cost more? It's various, and you have to look at what do I need for my company and what do my customers need, and then start drilling into the cost-benefit ratio of that.
As an industry, we spend about 0.75% on average of sales on technology. If we take a look at the industries, if you take a look at Amazon, we obviously it'd be many times more than that. But on average, our customers are spending 2 to 3 times, and our vendors, by the way, are spending 2 to 3 times what we do for technology. So to move a quarter of a point is a big deal, and for a quarter of a point on $1 million is $2,500. So if you figure, if you think you want to move from 0.75 to 1% of sales, just take the millions that you're spending that you're getting from your sales revenue and figure out what you can buy with that. Again, I think that technology is obviously driving down the cost of doing lots of things. We find that we're doing a renegotiation on our networks. We expect to have a 30% reduction after our renegotiation. Same thing with printers. So we have a lot of traditional costs that are going down. At the same time, we're adding more and more services. We're adding more and more licenses, and these things don't come for free. And one thing that people sometimes don't think about is it's not the actual purchase of something if in the hardware or software world, but it's the actual maintenance that goes on for years and years. Because you'll rebuy that every 3 to 5 years, depending on what you have.
Les, I don't want to interrupt you, but can you give us an example of something you've spent on previously, and as a result of that today, you've eliminated X number of dollars? There's been a return on that investment.
I could.
Do you want to?
Yeah, I think a good example is Office 365. I think everybody has heard of it. And how many people are using Office 365 today? Office 365. It's the email online. So this gave us the ability to have Microsoft provide our email and our SharePoint intranet services and some other things in the cloud, so everybody can receive their email whether they're in Paris or they're in Seattle or they're at their desk. We found that we were able to trim a lot of costs from support, but we were also able to increase the benefit to people because of the ubiquity of having the availability of email.